42 points to 28. The Springboks get the win, and what was an emphatic game at Loftus Versfeld. Easily one of the better games I've seen in a while. Both teams pitched up to play. Springboks with a much changed team. Scotland with their full strength team. Both teams came to play, and you have to give credit where credit is due. Scotland did not take a backward step today, and I think most of the Springboks tries were actually scored from individual brilliance, especially some of the key tries throughout the game that really set the Springboks apart and put them in front against Scotland. But Scotland's tries were all well-worked tries, based on their planning, based on their structure, based on their phase play. They attacked that kind of pillar post channel, inside 10 channel, inside the first receiver channel very well, and it paid its dividends today. 4 of 5 line breaks. Scotland can be very happy with their performance. They didn't get the win, so they will be disappointed, but still, this Scotland team is on the up right now. And for the Springboks, I mean, a much changed team. A lot of players being given an opportunity, and a lot of players did step up, but we will get into all of that. So first of all, if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow. I really do appreciate all the support. There's going to be a lot more content coming out. We still have the player ratings for both of these teams as well. They'll be coming out right after this, maybe even at the same time. So if the video is out by now, go check it out, because there's going to be some player ratings for the Springboks and for the Scotland team as well. So that's going to be very exciting. There's been a lot of player ratings done today as well, a lot of match reaction. So if you do enjoy the content of covering the entire tournament, as well as the greatest rivalry series coming up, hit the subscribe button and stick around. There's going to be a lot more where that came from. So starting off, the game was kind of neck and neck until about the... It was still about the 12th minute, is around there. I'm trying to see where it was in the game where the Springboks actually scored their first points. It was at the 16th minute mark. It was 0-0. Then some individual brilliance by Embrose Papid. A phenomenal try scored. He's been doing this recently now. They kind of hop over the ruck, sidestep as soon as he hits the ground, beat the next 3 defenders, and his pace was just absolutely world class. A different world, that guy's speed. Him and Grant Williams together can be a very good kind of 1-2 punch at scrum off for the Springboks going forward. Now, I do think Embrose Papid has kind of granted himself more game time and more opportunities in the Springbok jersey, but the one thing that was really lacking, not from him, but made his life a lot difficult, is in that first half especially, the lack of kind of intensity at the breakdown from the forwards. There seemed to be a lack of intensity, forwards just kind of going through the motions from the Springboks, not giving him that clean ball. In the second half, those guys like Zachary Porton, Mchunu, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Ben Jason Dixon, and these guys, Ulrich Lowe, they were flying into the rucks, giving Grant Williams some extremely quick, crisp service, and you could just see he made it so much easier for a guy like him. And I just wish a guy like Embrose Papid had the kind of breakdown quality that a guy like Grant Williams had as well, because you could clearly see the difference, and it really paid off when Grant Williams came off and got that quick ball, because things were starting to happen. He was starting to kind of keep Scotland's defense honest, play the blind side, play the options. He did the switchback move with Damien Willemse, and of course there was more individual brilliance that came. But starting off, Embrose Papid with a really good try converted by Andre Pollard. Then I mean, one of the best tries I've seen in my life. This whole try, I'm trying to think about the sequence right now. So if you didn't watch the game, I'm going to try explain it as good as possible. After that try happens, Scotland kicks off. Bowen Venter lifts Kobus Reinach in the air, keeps him in the air, almost like the Beast did back in the day with, I think it was Eben Etzebeth. Walks forward with him, throws him forward, which Kobus Visa has chucked out the gate there, sprinting over Scotland defenders, beating about 4 or 5 defenders. And up until that point, I thought Kobus Visa wasn't really having the best game. 2 very quick penalties after one another. Maybe too eager from him. Maybe he was a little bit too eager. But that run, he got all that eagerness out. He ran over people. He ran through people. Good timing on the pass as well. Paul de Villiers gets the ball. And just keep in mind, Kobus Visa just rampaged through 4 or 5 Scotland defenders. Paul de Villiers gets the ball. A little bit of an overlap on the right. He decides to go to the right, play the ball. The ball goes down. Eventually, they play the ball to the midfield. They get close to the 5-meter line. And then over goes Evan Roos. One of the best tries I've seen in a very long time. I wish I could have been at the stadium for that, because that was absolutely incredible. But right before half-time, Scotland just flipped a switch in the head. They kept the ball alive. They made it impossible to give the ball back to South Africa. They were throwing offloads that seemed to be sticking. They were playing backwards almost. Everything was just weird. It almost looked impossible to defend. Maybe the Springbok players were like, what on earth is going on right now? But every single pass started sticking to hand. Every single play started going forward. And Scotland with 2 quick tries as well right before halftime. I mean, literally in the final 10 minutes of the half, and right on halftime as well. Some 2 incredible tries. One by Ferguson and one by Kyle Rowe. 2 incredible tries there that really kind of helped Scotland in the half, 14-all with the Springboks. Going into halftime with that kind of momentum, I was thinking to myself, okay, Scotland has a chance to win this game. But Scotland really came to play. But I think a lot of people don't realize this. Scotland were always going to be a tough game for the Springboks, and were always going to be a tougher game than England. Irrespective of the Springboks change their players, these guys have been training in the system now for a while. These guys are actually in a position where they should be playing with a lot more desperation. So to playing against a desperate Springbok team with a lot of players that are trying to grab an opportunity, Scotland did very well themselves to also have that kind of desperation to try win this game. But then after half time, Ben Jason Dixon got a yellow card. I thought it was a soft yellow card. Of course, you never want to see contact with the nose. I don't think there was anything in it, especially from the one angle. So in the future, not just because it's my team, I wouldn't want someone to be penalized for that. I mean, maybe penalized, but I wouldn't want to see someone yellow carded for that. It just felt like a rugby incident, to be honest, and I think a lot more things nowadays should be seen as a rugby incident. But then after that, we had Lowe going over. That was a really well worked try, and Grant Williams just putting the final touch, picking the ball up, pump faking, perfect timing on a platter for Ulrich Lowe, right over the try line. That's where the Springboks started getting more momentum back, because that's where Grant Williams again kept Scotland honest, went to the blind side, had some really quick ball, very decisive decision making, switched back with Damian Willemse. Damian Willemse with the left foot step, really good footwork over for the try as well. I almost thought that ball was knocked on, but he just placed the ball so quickly as well. Thereafter, there was some really good phase play by the Springboks, capitalizing on a few opportunities. This is where the Springboks started to look really good, and eventually Zach Porton went over in the corner. A really good, well-worked try by the Springboks, and a good finish by Porton, who definitely got a bit, I wouldn't say he got humbled today by Piers Skuman, because he's a humble player, but he definitely got roughed up a bit in the scrum there by Piers Skuman. But still, Zachary Porton is a really good prop, and you can see the potential, because there was some scrums where he was winning it, some scrums where he was getting dominated, but he really is such a good player around the park. Good ball carrying, good defensive work, never say die attitude, and very fit as well. So really good to see these youngsters like a Porton, like a Paul de Villiers, like Ulrich Lowe, like Evan Roos, like all these guys really playing some good rugby right now. Because I will talk about it more in the player ratings, but I was very impressed with some people that maybe were hated on a little bit by the South African fan base. So I'll talk a bit more about that, but Porton really does impress me. He's not going to be the finished product yet, so if you think he should be winning all these scrum penalties like a Wilco Lowe, like a Thomas du Toit, it's not going to happen right now. But he still did very well, and he's still a very inexperienced player. He barely played for the Stormers this year. When he played very well, didn't get that many starts, but now he's getting some consistent game time, and you can start to see how it's bearing fruit. But thereafter is where Scotland started finding more holes in the Springbok kind of defence there, especially around that pillar post region. Not even directly, they would first play a few plays, come right back to that hole, some lazy defenders, and some of them were all first phase play as well, where the forwards would just break the line. I remember, I think it was Samuel that broke the line or something like that. I think it was one of those guys that broke the line, and Josh Bayliss eventually went over. One of the fastest forwards in world rugby. You're not going to stop him. And there was some really good interplay by some of the Scotland players. They played with confidence. They played with a fire in their belly today, and you could see it. That's why this was one of the better games I've seen in a while, because later on you had a really well worked try by Ben White, a good finish from him, and Ben White was outstanding today at some parts throughout that game. He really was. And at the end of the game, of course, you had the Creel try, a very well worked grubber from Andre Pollard through. I almost thought he was in front of the kicker. Then I saw the other angles. I thought, okay, he's not in front of the kicker. Just perfect timing on the grubber. Jesse Creel backing his footwork and speed to get over. Probably a 6 out of 10 for the dive. The knees did hit the ground first. That's just what I'm saying there. 6 out of 10 for the dive. But a very good performance from some of the guys for the Springboks. But also equally a good performance from the Scotland team as well. So really good game of rugby. The intensity was high. The altitude was getting to the players. The players were off on their feet early on in the game as well. Some incredible tries scored. Some incredible skills on show. Scotland actually taking the world champs to like the 80th minute almost of the game. Really having a chance to win that game. This is the kind of test rugby you want to see, some very good players as well. So let's look at some of the other stats in the game to see what went right, what went wrong for each team. So the Springboks had 8 entries into the Scotland 22 and averaged 5.2 points per entry. That is absolutely incredible. That is very clinical. And you have to think, for a team that's just been changed, that didn't have Oxenchair, didn't have Thomas du Toit, didn't have Malcolm Marx, didn't have Eben Etzebeth, didn't have Sia Khaleesi, didn't have Jasper Wiese, Grant Williams on the bench, no Mani Lebok, no Sasha Ngomazulu, no Damien De Alindi, no Cheslin Colby, no Kurt Lawrence, no Kurt Kwagga Smith as well. All these guys are out. For a team that didn't have all those players, to average 5.2 points scored per entry to the opposition 22 against a good Scotland team is incredible numbers. And then for Scotland, 11 entries to the South African 22, an average of 2.5 points per entry. But Scotland scored a few more tries from outside the 22 as well. So Scotland were very clinical when they had to be today as well. Looking at some of the other kind of things here, 12 line breaks for Scotland, 6 for South Africa. A bit of a... You can't really have that stat for South Africa right now. They have to fix that. A bit of an inexcusable stat there. 12 line breaks, allowing Scotland to do 12 line breaks. And most of them were really obvious line breaks as well. They were like big line breaks, game-changing line breaks, momentum-shifting line breaks. So that has to change going forward for the Springboks. But Scotland did so well to force those line breaks with their interplay, with their speed, with their kind of handling ability, footwork ability as well. And I'll talk about all the incredible Scotland performances in the player ratings. And then 21 kicks for the Springboks, 16 kicks for Scotland, 157 carries for Scotland and 102 for the Springboks. 562 post-contact meters for Scotland. More than half a kilometer. That is incredible for Scotland. That is inexcusable for the Springboks. And then Scotland allowing the Springboks to get 329 post-contact meters, which in general is inexcusable. But for South Africa to allow 562, that is half a kilometer. And yes, I can see the comments already. The Springboks won the game. It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, because one day things are going to click for a team like the All Blacks playing in South Africa. And if you allow 562 post-contact meters, it's going to be an embarrassing result again in South Africa, like it once was in 2016. So you can't have that going forward. Scotland still did very well, but the Springboks also played with so much determination that even though there were those post-contact meters, you always had the kind of heroic play of a guy kind of working hard off the ball, stealing the ball, slowing down the ball. So there was some good individual brilliance to kind of stop Scotland from capitalizing on those post-contact meters, because I think if the Springboks were to have those post-contact meters, the score could have been in the 50s or 60s today. So some really interesting stats from this game. Scotland very impressive once again. 4 dominant tackles for the Springboks, 0 for Scotland, but that was a physical game. The carries in that game, the forwards from Scotland were running straight into those Springbok forwards. The footwork from some of the Scotland forwards as well was really magnificent to watch. Just the finer little skill sets, the little details in that Scotland team really did impress me. But the Springbok forwards were coming around the corner. Kobus Wessel was coming around the corner. Ruan Nortje, Evan Roos, these guys were running extremely hard today. They were going to be very difficult to stop. 198 tackles made for the Springboks, 126 tackles made for Scotland, 46 tackles missed for the Springboks. Inexcusable. I really do believe that it's those kind of stats that will lose you games. But it is a kind of a positive thing that the Springboks still managed to win the game while missing 46 tackles, while allowing 562 post-contact meters. That just goes to show the quality that the Springboks do have. But still, Scotland missing 21 tackles, those did kind of play a part as well. I mean, some very well-worked tries from the Springboks as well. 2 turnovers, 1 for Scotland, 3 for the Springboks. The Springboks allowed Scotland to do 22 offloads in the tackle and only 5 offloads for the Springboks. But that is how Scotland plays. They play, out of all the UK teams, they really do play a lot like a France, a lot like an All Blacks team. They run the ball from everywhere. They keep the ball alive. They're just really weird with the way they play, and I love that about them. So it was a really fun game of rugby to watch. Just some of the player stats as well. 10 points scored by Andre Pollard. The final try scorer of the game was Jesse Kriel. 14 carries for Sione Tuipulotu. Captain fantastic. He was one of my man of the matches. Probably was my man of the match, to be honest. He was absolutely everywhere today. 19 tackles completed by Ruan Nortje. This guy is everywhere at all times. 2 line breaks by Sione Tuipulotu. 1 turnover won by Johan Grobelaar. 7 defenders beaten by Kyle Steyn. A really good performance from him in his home country as well. And just some of the other stats here. Let's see, it's some of the meters carried. Sione Tuipulotu, 72 meters carried. Kyle Rowe, 54. Paul de Villiers, 53. This guy's really good with ball in hand as well. Sione Tuipulotu with 2 line breaks. Finn Russell with 4 offloads as well. Damian Willemsen with 2 offloads. And Matt Fagerson with 2 offloads. 7 defenders beaten for Kyle Steyn. 6 for Sione Tuipulotu and 5 for Kyle Rowe. And those are 3 of the players that really stood out to me. Steyn, Tuipulotu and Rowe were absolutely awesome for Scotland. So some really interesting stats here. We'll look at some of the defensive stats. Ruan Nortje with 23 tackles. Peter Steph du Toit with 19. And Jesse Kriel with a big shift with 18 tackles as well. 7 tackles missed for Andre Pollard, 5 for Jesse Kriel as well, and 4 for Edward van der Merwe. Not good stats there, but I think Edward van der Merwe and those guys were put in some very tough positions today where those tackles missed did slow the defender down though. Dominant tackles, one for Errol van der Merwe, one for Volkelo, one for Peter Steph du Toit. And I mean, total tackles per minute, Vincent Chichuka 1.29, but he did go off. Evan Roos with 0.39 tackles per minute, so he was really working hard today. And there were some really interesting performances today. I think for me, from the Springboks side, I'm trying to think who really was my standout players. I thought Peter Steph du Toit had a good game as usual. I thought Paul de Villiers probably is going to be a normal Springbok in the 23 from now on because he's been excellent. I thought Evan Roos got stuck in today. Good tackle technique, very good around the corner, good work rate as well, very good the way he carried as well. Other guys as well, I'm trying to think who else played today. Ben Jason Dixon was alright when he came on, I thought. Elrich Lowe added a bit of a punch when he came on as well. I think Zachary Porton was good when he came on. I thought in the back line, Ambrose Papir was solid because the forwards didn't really give him the speed he needed at the breakdown. I thought Andre Pollard had a decent game today, especially under the high ball. I mean, back in the day when he went to Leicester Tigers, he almost was just a one-trick pony of only being able to kick, but he's becoming a lot better right now. Jesse Creel, a solid game from him. Ethan Hooker was really good today. Really good to see him back. Hopefully he does kind of get through all the concussion protocols because he was excellent. Edward van Merwe was solid. Damian Willems at number 12. A few defensive lapses, but I think that will happen kind of going right from fullback to number 12, but he was still one of the better players on the day as well. So some really good performances there. I will cover those in the player ratings, but let me know which players you thought were the best today. An awesome game of rugby. That's why you love rugby. What a game at Loftus Versfeld. You have to give credit to Scotland. They came to South Africa and they really took on the world champs. You know what? They almost won the game as well. So some really good rugby on show. A lot of questions asked of the Springboks, and I think the Springboks will solve those things going forward. But also from a Scotland perspective, they will go a long way. If they can play with this intensity, with this desperation, with this kind of desire to win from now on, they will go far in the next World Cup. So I really am rooting for Scotland to go far, and of course for the Springboks as well. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.